Once again, thank you very much to the moderator as well as the panelists. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to take you on the focus of DeVry's MBA program, I'd like to invite a gentleman you've already met, of course, and a lovely lady who will take you through the program, what it holds, as well as be open to ask you questions. But before I do invite them, please give me a moment to introduce them to you. Of course, by now you've met Mr. Anil Herath, the Managing Director International at DeVry Education. Now, prior to DeVry, he served as the president of several other private sector colleges in Ontario, Canada. He's the past chair and board member of the Canadian Institute of Marketing. He also graduated with a BA from the University of Delhi, India. He went on to complete his postgraduate diploma in sales and marketing management also in India, and further he did his MBA at the University of Colombo. So can I ask you to put your hands together and first welcome Anil Herath on the stage. Followed by, of course, yet another lovely lady. She is the manager of international recruitment at DeVry Education Group, managing South Asian and Sri Lankan regions. She has 12 years of experience within the international education and cultural exchange industry, and prior to joining DeVry, ladies and gentlemen, she managed and streamlined recruitment and enrollment, the process, of course, of over 8,000 international students per year into the United States for work, training, as well as internship programs. Now, she's done some extensive traveling. A little interesting factor that she, of course, is a certified Six Sigma Yellow Belt and a 2004 graduate summa cum laude of the University of Texas at Austin with a BS in Communication Studies. Can we give her a round of applause? And on to both Rachel Ross as well as Mr. Anand to take over.
Can we hear us okay? All right, great. Welcome. We are going to make this a little bit interactive as much as possible and ask questions as we go along. We are just going to add a couple more things to the introduction that's already made. I just want to make this relatable a little bit to here. I studied at Trinity College in Kandy. I have two of my classmates here, Taranga and Manjula. We started off our careers in an interesting way. We graduated high school and all three of us joined the pharmaceutical industry, didn't we? Right? I remember that. And now Taranga's Chief Marketing Officer at HSBC and Manjula, General Manager HR at Colombo Terminals, Ports. So great to have you guys. And it's great to be here. So without further ado, we will get on with the program. But before that, I will let Rachel introduce herself a little bit more.
Thank you, Anil. I am Rachel Ross, Manager of International Recruitment, as mentioned, with DeVry Education Group. And very, very pleased to be here in Colombo, Sri Lanka. It's my third time to Sri Lanka this year. And really enjoy the crab and the fresh seafood, so thank you for that. But very happy to be here again and share with you more insights about America, US higher education, and of course the DeVry MBA. And please feel free to ask me any questions, especially after the presentation when we are mingling and networking, because that's when the real good stuff happens.
Awesome, thank you very much. So, just to lay this out, set this up, we are going to talk about why US. We are used to British, Australian for most part, education here. And let's talk about why US. Rachel will cover that. After that, we are going to talk about the DeVry Education Group. I will talk about that a little bit to give you guys an understanding about what the organization is. Then we are going to talk about one of the institutions in DeVry Group, which is DeVry University. We'll talk about that. Soon after, then we'll talk about what exactly are we doing in Sri Lanka. I think it warrants a little bit of discussion and explanation. So hopefully we can accomplish all of that and get you to cocktails after that. That's important too. So feel free to raise your hand, ask questions. We want to make this as much interactive as possible. And let's get cracking, Rachel. Why US?
Yes.
You know, it's better you talk about it than me because You're from Texas and from the States, so please go ahead.
Thank you. As Reno mentioned, I am from Texas. Has anybody been to Texas before? Does anybody have a relative that lives? All right. Where in Texas?
Dallas, in Dallas.
Okay, great. Well, I'm from Austin and moved to Chicago, loved Chicago, but did go to school in Texas. So a lot of the points that I was going to speak to are actually mentioned in the panel discussion tonight, many of the points. So I actually want to kind of change it up and share with you some real examples of going to school in America and of course being an American. And I think something that many people don't consider when maybe they're thinking about interacting or having classmates that are American is that it is truly the world, like global stage of all cultures, because America is a melting pot. And I'm sure I look like Greek or Italian or whatever, but I'm American. And so you mingle with Mexican Americans, with Italian Americans, first generation or second generation, Indian Americans, Chinese Americans. So you really start to understand differences of culture, of values, but how that all relates within the business context and how to communicate with people from all around the world to be able to succeed in the work environment. As Renelle mentioned, our team is really located almost all over the globe and almost every continent. So it's very important to understand different cultures and how to work with people from all around the world, because you could find yourself in a team working with people from 5 different countries. So that's just a little bit of personal experience of education, higher education in the United States, is that it is about a global platform, global learning, because you're learning from your fellow classmates, their experiences and what they've seen throughout their time in education and their workforce. So some numbers. Right now, actually in 2014, a little under 1 million international students studied in the United States. And it's gaining momentum. Every year, more and more international students are choosing to study in the United States. What's really cool is that California, New York, and the state of Illinois, those 3 states are within the top 5 most sought after destinations by international students to study in the United States. So, DeVry University, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, we have campus locations in all 3 of these states. So very exciting. If you choose to finish your degree in the US, you'll be in some very popular places. Renelle will share some information about the company that we work for, DeVry Education Group.
All right, thanks, Rachel. So, DeVry Education Group, we are a public company. We are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. We are an organization that operates multiple universities and professional training institutions around the world. And DeVry Education Group is the parent organization, which I work for. My role there is heading up international for the group, which essentially means marketing, recruiting, and setting up partnerships all over outside the United States. DeVry Group has multiple universities, and I'll introduce a few of them to you. One is DeVry University. Rachel's going to talk in detail about it later. It's one institution. I actually joined DeVry as president of the DeVry University in Canada. That was about 8 years ago. I ran that organization for about 5 years before I joined my current role with the parent organization. DeVry also operates the largest nursing school in the United States, Chamberlain College of Nursing, a 120-some-year-old nursing school with over 32,000 students enrolled currently in multiple locations. So DeVry University, being business and technology focused university with bachelor's and master's programs. Then we have a nursing school, the largest nursing school in the United States. We also operate 2 medical schools, Ross University of Medicine and the American University of the Caribbean. These 2 medical schools combined supply America more doctors than any other university in the world. Last year, it was over 1,000 physicians from just our two universities that entered the US residency program. That's the largest any one provider has provided to the US healthcare system. We also operate a vet school, Ross University of Veterinary Science. Then we operate Becker Professional Review. Becker Professional Review operates globally and provides exam preparation and professional education support for programs like CPA, which is a US accounting designation, ACCA, the USMLE, which is the exam which allows you to be a licensed physician in the United States. We help train for that as well. Just to give a context of our reach with Becker, in the United States, the CPA exam takers, more than 85% of them are trained by us. So 85% of CPAs in the USA are trained by us today. That's the reach of Becker. Then in Brazil, DeVry Brazil consists of about 14 different universities. In Brazil, very traditional kind of schools, medical school, nursing school, law school, even a professional education organization which prepares students for the Brazilian bar exam to become lawyers. So a very diverse organization with students around the world, multiple disciplines from medicine to accounting and business to electronics technology and so many different areas. So as you can imagine, this is a diverse collection of many universities that is operated by what is called the DeVry Education Group. As we get that going, Rachel, you can start talking about DeVry University, and we will get to that slide when we get there.
DeVry University was founded, as mentioned, in 1931, and we currently serve over 40,000 students across the United States and over 55 campus locations. Now, for international student enrollment, we really like to focus our campus locations within the larger metropolitan cities. We have some incredible business campuses within New York City. We're actually located in Midtown. Has anybody been to New York City? Yes, yes. Our campus, it's incredible actually. The first time I saw it, I couldn't believe it. Our campus is 1 block away from the Empire State Building. You're in the heart of the global mecca, I guess you could say. We have 2 campuses in Chicago, Illinois. It's very popular with international students. And we also have 2 campuses in Los Angeles, California. As mentioned in the panel by Reniel, we do have our academic council work hand in hand with industry partners like Cisco, Microsoft, HP, to design the curriculum and program. So this is very unique and really incredible for students to have that insight into what US corporations are looking for, what skills are needed, so you can better prepare yourself to further your career. And we have a very strong career service team. And this career service team works with all of our students to help them achieve their career goals, whatever that is. I know there was talk about, okay, what is your 5-year goal? What is your 10-year goal? They really work with the student to better understand the direction that they're going, and maybe they need help with their resume. The career service team will help the student to better prepare their resume, or maybe they need help with interviewing skills. So those are support pieces that our team at DeVry provides to the student. So it is about supporting the student to achieve their education and career goals every step along the way of their experience with DeVry University and Keller Graduate School of Management. You can see the United States, and it's really, yeah.
Okay.
You know the cities. Okay, so again, if you have questions about the cities, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, let me know after the presentation. I'd be happy to share more information about the culture of the cities. But now the next slide is about the program, design, features, and benefits. And I will hand that over to Anil to start that discussion.
Perfect. That's a great segue, guys. So what we are doing in Sri Lanka, just want to talk a little bit about that. So make it interactive. You're going to have questions, ask now, or I just suggest, you could ask later as well. How are we setting this up? The students are going to get into an online modality with some blended component with some local support. So what does that mean? How is this going to work? Classes will be of approximately 30 or less students. So it is not students with, it is students with a totally connected setup with their professor who will be in the United States. And the students will be working simultaneously with those in the United States, sharing and exchanging ideas, working on projects, and working together, experiencing the US program along with the same time as the other students in the United States. Now, the benefit there is, you're not just sitting in a class with only students from Colombo or Sri Lanka. That is also great, but this is even better because you have that. So think of it as a US MBA plus plus. The first plus is Asia International Academy is pulling together a local panel of industry experts to develop workshops and deliver it to the students so they understand the local context and relate to it from the local industry and use local examples. What's the second plus? The second plus is building a community. So you're building a local community and network. And my vision is down the road, few years down the road when we are talking about that community evolving into a, a community of DeVry alumnus. Highly networked, doing extremely well in Sri Lanka and around the world, group of Keller graduates that are going to join the 250,000 alumnus that we have that graduated in only the last 40 years. That's a big network, folks. And we are talking about networking, we are talking about connecting. So a student can start, enroll, network in the US, network in Sri Lanka, learn from the industry experts in the US, learn from the industry experts here in Colombo, and at the same time build a tremendous network of professionals and your peers who you are learning with. And here's the twist. Right now, you could go to the US, you can enroll at Keller or any of the other 3,000 universities in the US, and you can get a degree, you can get a master's. Or you can study in one of the many programs, foreign programs that's delivered in Colombo. You have that. So either go there or stay here. But we are giving you a mix where you could do either or. If you want to go now, if you are qualified and you get all the other, you can go there and do this with DeVry. Or you can start in January with the program in Colombo while you are still pursuing your career. And at any point you wish to, you can transfer to one of our campuses. It's an option. You don't have to. Some of you may say after 2 semesters, you know what, I think I'm going to go down to the States, I'm going to study, pick one of the cities, you go and study there. Or you might get a great promotion and you don't want to go, you know what, everything's great, I just want to stay here, keep building my career here, and you don't have to go, you can graduate here. There is no cutoff as to when you need to go. If you go to the US and study for at least 12 months, you qualify for what's called an optional practical training. That is essentially the ability to work in the US for a year after you graduate, so you practice your skills that you learn in the business world. So if you structure this, you can do some studies here, some studies there, and the studies in the US, if you do it for at least a year, you have that opportunity. So we are talking about innovation, we are talking about flexibility. These are all new elements that we are throwing out to the market. That's the essence of what we are doing with Asia International. And this just captures which locations we would recommend that you would transfer to in the US. They're great cities. And see, learning and doing an MBA is not only about the content and course, it's also about living and getting that experience, living and studying in global business hubs such as New York or Los Angeles or Chicago. And our campuses are right in the midst of the business hubs. So here are some suggestions. And if we go to the next, and you can take that, Rachel?
Yes,
Perfect.
okay. So I'm sure many of you are wondering more about the specifics on the delivery and the advantages to our program. So we have a great picture of our Keller Graduate School advisor, Marisol. She is based in Chicago, and she would be your student advisor and would help you understand the steps and the documentation and information that's needed to really get started in the program. Of course, you're working with AIA, but you will be speaking with Marisol in Chicago and having a short conversation with her, about 30 minutes over the phone, to understand the admission steps, timeline, and expectations for the program. And there was a question about the delivery in terms of the course shell, as Renelle mentioned. So you essentially have really no required login time that you have to be logged in. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you have access to this course shell. It's your own personal kind of place of work. And in terms of the commitment that's needed, one course will typically, you'll need about 10 to 12 to 13 hours a week to complete one course or module through that online shell. And if you're taking 2 courses, you'll need a commitment of 20 to 24 hours a week. The expectation. So each course or module is 8 weeks. So every week, the new module is open, Monday through Sunday. And that's where you have the ability to go on and really start your threaded discussion, as was mentioned in the panel, and interacting with your classmates from all around the world throughout that 1 week period of that module. You will have reading assignments, homework, and a lecture that you would listen to. It's very important that you participate in the threaded discussion. This is really where the heart of the learning happens, because you're learning from not just the professor, but also your classmates. And something that I do want to emphasize, and meeting with hundreds of international students and domestic or international students, really, with DeVry, a huge love, and what really gets them excited to talk about are their professors. Whether it's online or they're on site, they love their professors' previous experience and how they incorporate their experience into the classroom learning, and because they are really available when needed to help the student one-on-one. So although you're here in Sri Lanka, you desperately have a question or you need help, you can contact your professor directly, and they are there to help you succeed in your educational goals. Something that's maybe unique, and Renil, you might be able to better elaborate on this, is just the mark on a course.
Sure. So the grading, right? I'm used to a system. When I went to school, you have to study a lot, and you have to remember content. You have to memorize a lot. I remember the time before an exam, just before O-levels, and the day before the exam, my mother was going to see if I had studied, and she was flipping through the book, and there was a section. Back in the day, the book quality wasn't great. The pages get connected on the top. Have you experienced that in the school textbooks? And I hadn't opened it. So there were 2 chapters in there. And you cannot believe the amount of trouble I got into. And these guys know my mother. She was a school principal as well. So I got into serious trouble. But the idea there is, it's about, you can get to the exam without really learning a concept. Because what's expected is for you to memorize and be able to repeat at an exam, right? You need to understand and be able to apply the concepts week by week at DeVry. If I was at DeVry, those pages would have been opened up day 2, right? So, where am I going to with this? The content memorization and the end of semester or end of year exam is what I was used to going to school. DeVry doesn't operate that way, because we want to make sure not that you remembered the whole amount of content, but did you understand the concepts and did you develop the skill to apply it? So how do we measure that? That we measure by your participation and contribution on a weekly basis by the means of threaded discussions. Threaded discussion, to visualize it, is like a Facebook post and you keep replying and you provide discussion around that. And assignments, and assessments, and group work. So as you progress, you are developing an understanding as opposed to just gathering knowledge. So the grading, only about 40% comes from exams. So if you are able to memorize only and you don't understand the concepts, you are not going to get through and pass the subject. So it's a different style, but we are looking for developing your skills and your ability to be successful, not just the knowledge. And there is a vast difference. So that's kind of a little bit about the grading, because this becomes a big question.
Yes, thank you, Uriel. Something that I love about U.S. education are the wonderful resources and amenities that are available to you, and what we offer for the student is online tutoring. When you need that help, there is an online help desk that you can access. Everything is really at your fingertips, and support that is needed. You also have document sharing and Dropbox that you can utilize. So we want you to feel supported with your resources, whether it's tutoring or you need to contact your professor in the middle of the night, you are chatting online and something happens, you can call IT, or whatever it is. We really want you to feel supported. That is our goal. So we hope that you contact AIA as a next step and learn more about the program, and feel free to ask us questions later on tonight as we mingle. But again, we're very happy to be here, and thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rachel. Guys, do you have any questions that you think would, because if you have a question, most likely others have the same question. So you do a favor to the audience by asking it, not only to yourself. So feel free, while we have everybody, if there are questions, both of us would be happy to answer them. Yes?
Time frame and the cost.
Time frame and the cost. So it's a 2-year MBA. Depending on how many subjects you take up each session, you may complete it very quickly. Some students complete it in about 14 months. Realistically, you can do that. Some students have various situations that change as life goes. Life happens, right? We don't plan everything. We plan everything, but not all the plans. So life situation could change, work situation could change. So as much as we encourage you to structure it and finish it in a 2-year time frame, you don't have to. You can finish it soon, in about 14 months, pretty reasonably, and you will be able to graduate. There are students who take 4 to 5 years to graduate. I wouldn't recommend it, because you're starting an investment, finish it within the 2-year time frame. But again, a great question, because it helps me explain the tremendous amount of flexibility we have. Cost. If you do it in Sri Lanka, there's special pricing for this while you are doing it through AIA. It will cost approximately about, Nadeem,
1.7.
in rupees, if you say 1.7, about 1.7 million for the entire program. Now, in the US, it's $40,000. So if you go to the US, you'll pay $40,000 for the 2-year program. It doesn't matter whether you do it in 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years. You pay as you go for each subject you're signing. So in Sri Lanka, it's about 1.7 million rupees, whatever the currency rate is. There's a lot of talk about the exchange rate, right? So, okay. So hopefully it doesn't do us any harm. What's happening. But when you go to the US, so think of it this way. If you do half here, you spend about close to 9 million. Sorry, 900,000. 900,000. See my math, right? 900,000 for the portion you do here. If you do half in the US, that's close to $20,000. Right? Like I said, you do, and you can work the math, right? So everything here, certain amount, everything in the US, and you have a variation of the full spectrum of that flexibility.
And you can choose to take 2 modules in a session instead of just 1. You can choose to take more modules here in Sri Lanka for a lower price and fewer in the US.
Or you can finish the full program here.
Here.
Or you can opt to go to the US. And only thing I would say is if you want that 1 year's work, you have to study there for 12 months. It's not a DeVry thing, it's a US government thing which encourages foreign students to work in the US, so you get to apply your skills in the real world before you come back. But to do that, you have to study there at least for a year. But if not for that, you can come there even for the last semester if you want. Stay there or hang out for the graduation, come back.
Lots of choice.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
Do you have a research component in this?
We do not. And again, a great question because we are purposefully not a research university. We say that we are different on purpose. Different on purpose has a couple of different meanings. We are different in our purpose of why we exist and what we do, which is to produce people who can hit the ground running, go and contribute right at the beginning, go into the workforce. We are different on purpose in being a career university as opposed to a research university. There are great research institutions in the United States. We are not in that category, and we are purposefully getting more industry people. See, our focus is in business and technology at DeVry University. We want to produce not academic, not researchers, not faculty, but people who are interested in pursuing a career, mostly in the business sector. Or there are many who go into the government sector as well, but that's a small minority. Large number goes into have extremely successful careers in Fortune 500 companies. In fact, 95 of the Fortune 100 companies come and hire our graduates. But we are purposefully not a research university.
And that's why we have 100 career service professionals that support the students to achieve their career goals. So that's our focus, is to really support the student in whatever that goal is within their career path.
These are great questions. Yes.
For courses like entrepreneurship, how do you get about with mentoring for projects?
It's all set up, and Rachel, you can add to it. I'll share my thoughts. There are a number of resources available. Your professor is going to lead the course, and he's always available. Now, you may want extra support, tutoring, or get some advice. So we have a team that's dedicated to serving that. So you have the professor, then you have the support team. We provide fairly unlimited tutoring and one-to-one coaching. In fact, I wish more of our current students use it, but that's available to you. And that's an incredible difference. Many people are actually shocked and amazed at the amount of support that's available to our students. And because, see, US also has so many time zones, right? So we deal with the time zone matter already, even for the US students. So we have staff and manage those resources for you to tap on. And if you are studying at a campus, every campus has something called the Academic Success Center. Academic Success Center is in addition to your library and everything else. Academic Success Center is staffed by professors as well as senior level students who have very high grades, GPAs. We employ them to work as tutors and support the students. Unlimited support. You speak to your advisor, you ask for help, and we will match you up with a tutor. The other thing we would do is, if you are too shy to call us and ask, we are monitoring your grades and your participation, login, and your attendance. If there's an anomaly or something drops, we'll be contacted. We are saying, hey Bob, what's happening? You haven't been logging on as regularly, it's dropped, or your exam scores are dropping, or your assignment grades are dropping. The cumulative GPA is tracked on an ongoing basis. So any drops in that, we will call, hey, do you need help? And sometimes that help comes in terms of not your academic capability, but you might be having a life situation, you are dealing with stress, you are dealing with a loss of somebody close to you, or some issue. If that happens, there is another group we get you into. We work with an external organization. We don't see what help you get, but as long as you identify yourself as a DeVry student, you get assigned a private confidential support for you to deal with any life, psychological, emotional stress situations. And so many layers of support that's available.
Yes, and one more layer,
Yeah.
and the tutoring, academic success, on campus you have also an international student advisor to help guide you through all of the intricacies of the F1 visa and any paperwork that's needed, and to ensure that you stay and maintain in good status. So, lots of support.
Yes.
How do you facilitate the library? We are traditionally going to the library and taking some books and all. So how do you facilitate that kind of giving the books and all?
As students, you will have access to virtual libraries, which will have e-books, and that collection is bigger than any physical library you can ever find. You will have access to it. And your e-books get downloaded to your course shelf, so you open it from there. You can print those as well. You can print them as well. You can print them.
Yes. I like to have like something in my hand.
You can print them. Yeah.
I was carrying like big books on my travels because I love the books, but I have switched to the Kindle. But yeah, I like to hold the books.
The thing is, like with libraries, every library has a limitation. Nothing's real time, everything doesn't come there at the same time. So you have the option of, even our campus students have access to the virtual library in addition to the campus library. Yeah.
The online library, as I mentioned, and then you have Dropbox, so you're uploading your assignments as well through that same shop.
Any other questions?